Why LaMelo Ball's future could be in trouble. Ever since LaMelo was drafted, he's been one of the best younger players in the NBA, period. He's obviously extremely talented out there on the court, both in terms of his individual scoring, but also in terms of his passing and playmaking. But although when he's on the court he's been tremendous, the one major issue that he has had throughout his young NBA career has been injuries. And after breaking his ankle earlier on into this season, people are starting to wonder about LaMelo's future in the NBA. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm JuicySports. I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. LaMelo Ball was drafted with the number 3 overall selection during the 2020 NBA draft by the Charlotte Hornets. And originally when LaMelo was being drafted, he was arguably seen as the best player in that year's class, but the reason why he fell to number 3 was due to some uncertainties of him playing overseas and some more specific issues like his 3-point jump shot shooting. But ever since LaMelo came to the NBA, he proved right away that he was legit, and he probably was the best player in that year's class. Not only was LaMelo shutting down that major concern about his 3-point jump shot shooting, but he was also doing everything else that people expected him to do well, even better in the NBA. He was doing a great job at scoring for himself, whether you talk about that 3-point range, even that mid-range area, and of course driving all the way to the basket, but he was also doing an amazing job, even better than people were expecting in terms of his passing and playmaking abilities. LaMelo was doing a great job at running the pick and roll or pick and pop offense and consistently finding open guys for wide open 3-point jump shots, wide open dunks or layups, or just easy jump shots in general. And LaMelo quickly turned into one of those players that everybody wants to play with, because not only does he do a great job at scoring for himself, but he makes everybody around him that much better, and it just creates a winning environment. So after his rookie season, it was pretty clear that the Charlotte Hornets did a tremendous job in that year's class, and the LaMelo Ball pick was an absolute home run. But although everything on the court just looked fantastic, the one small concern at that point was his injuries, because that season LaMelo only played 51 games, which of course isn't the best. You would like to see a younger guy like that play a little bit more, but due to the fact that LaMelo was playing so well, there weren't all that many concerns about his injury history, also considering it was only in his rookie season. But of course it still was in the back of the mind of a lot of different people, especially the Charlotte Hornets organization. But the season following that, during the 2021 season, LaMelo ended up playing 75 games that year, eliminating a lot of injury concerns, but also what helped is he ended up having the best season of his career up until that point. That year, LaMelo averaged 20 points per game on 42% shooting from the field, 6.7 rebounds on 7.6 assists. Just absolutely phenomenal numbers for any player, but especially when you talk about a guy who was only in his second season. And due to that great play, LaMelo actually made it to his first ever NBA All-Star appearance. And after that great performance, LaMelo actually made it to his first ever NBA All-Star game. And after that season, it was pretty clear that everybody knew this guy was special. Everybody knew he was eventually going to turn into a superstar type guy, because we were already seeing him turn into that right before our eyes. But fast forwarding to this season, LaMelo continued on that trajectory and played extremely well, and even played better than he did last year. This season, LaMelo averaged 23 points per game on 41% shooting from the field, 6.4 rebounds on 8.4 assists. And this was great because not only was he putting up great individual numbers, but he was also showing a great progression. And I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but whenever you talk about younger players, you want to see progression. Even if they're not all that good in the rookie season, you would like to see them improve slightly to their second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh years. And with LaMelo Ball, that's exactly what we were seeing. But although we were seeing that progression, unfortunately for Melo, all that got cut short earlier on in the season when he broke his ankle. Now obviously when you break your ankle, that's a significant injury. You're probably going to be out at least for one full season, but on top of that, it's a lower leg injury, and typically with those kind of injuries, you don't necessarily feel comfortable for another season after that, even if you're technically fully healthy. Now we see this all the time whenever guys tear their ACL, break a leg, or something on their lower body. Typically whenever they come back, they don't play nearly as well as they did pre-injury, not necessarily due to the fact that that's a new player that they are, but more so due to the fact that they're not all that comfortable playing yet. So in my opinion, with LaMelo Ball, I think we're going to see exactly that once he does return. But another negative of that, besides a relatively worse play, would be a lot of times when people are focused too much on injuries and not re-injuring themselves, they can ironically even injure themselves in a different way. So of course that would be something that we need to look at in LaMelo's case. But a question that some of you may be asking is, this was a fluke injury and it was only one real time that LaMelo got injured significantly in his career. So why should we be all that concerned at this point? Now, although that is true, there have been a bunch of different little injuries that LaMelo has gone through in his young NBA career. And when you see a player, especially this young, deal with so many different injuries, that obviously is a concern, because eventually it can turn into a significant injury like we just saw here, but also going forward long term, there could just be a lot of different issues that come alongside with this. And we've seen countless players in the past that had the most talent in the world, but ended up getting injured a lot, even if they were small injuries, and eventually those small injuries turn into bigger injuries and their careers were ruined. And the best examples of this were Brandon Roy and Greg Oden. Now, of course, I'm not saying that LaMelo's career is going to be ruined. This is the real first time he got injured significantly, but I'm just saying there's a legitimate injury concern with LaMelo. Whenever any young player, even besides Melo, gets injured a lot early on into their careers, there's always going to be that concern. But now, the real question is, do I truly think LaMelo's career is going to be derailed by injuries, or do I not think so? Now, at this point, as I mentioned before, it's still very early on, and it's still very early to tell. I do think it is a concern that should be in the back of people's minds, but at the same time, I am still very excited about LaMelo's future. I think this is a guy who's going to be a superstar in the near future, and I think he has the potential to be one of the best players in the NBA. I think he's that good when he's out there. But the real thing that I think LaMelo should focus on is just continue to focus on his health. Maybe eat a little bit better out there, maybe work out a little bit more on certain areas of your body, and just do everything that you possibly can to ensure your health. If LaMelo is able to do that, and if he's able to stay healthy for a full season, maybe even 2 or 3 full seasons, then I think LaMelo would be getting himself into a nice flow, and at that point, I would feel much more comfortable about his injury concerns going forward. And I think the real test for LaMelo would be within the next 2 or 3 seasons. If LaMelo could stay relatively healthy, I would feel a lot more confident with him. And what I mean by relatively healthy is I think LaMelo should play anywhere from 65 to 82 games. If he's able to stay in that range, I would feel confident and comfortable about him. Hopefully going forward as the years progress, he can play more and more games, but even if he were on the lower end of that spectrum, I would still feel decent about it going forward. Now, overall, as I mentioned before in the video, it is still very early on to truly be concerned about LaMelo's injuries in terms of derailing his career, but I just think it's something that's in the back of the minds of a lot of different people, and of course it is still a concern. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening with LaMelo Ball, and hopefully for his sake he's able to stay healthy, and if he is able to stay healthy, I have no doubt in my mind that he'll become a superstar in the league and maybe even one of the best players in the league. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think there are legitimate concerns about LaMelo's health, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these 2 videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.